Today, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about fairy tales, why I decided to be an author, why I'm always talking about princesses and giving you guys princess pep talk, and how all of these things are related. There's just one rule: this stuff is close to my heart, so you have to be nice in the comments. I grew up as a kid who loved to draw, loved to paint, loved art, loved to write down stories in notebooks that I never told anyone about, obsessed with movies, obsessed with shows, obsessed with books. And it wasn't until I got older that I was like, oh, you're obsessed with stories, girl. You're obsessed with stories in all their form. And art, which really just means I'm obsessed with beauty. Beauty is in like truth, beauty, goodness. So in my earlier 20s, I kind of went down this really obsessive study path. It came from cracking open my Bible and reading like the first line. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What does that mean? I was like, I've always heard that term. Like, we've heard that. Everyone's heard that verse. But what does that mean? In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I'm like, okay, words are important here. And then I'm like, duh, the whole thing is written in words. I got obsessed. I'm like, okay, words. God's into words. God is identifying himself as the Word. So I start learning, about how God has used words to, well, one, bring the whole world into existence, but also to tell his story, to create everything. And then when Christ was on the earth, he used words and stories to teach. He used words to heal. Like, the words have power. And I guess too, by identifying himself as the Word, he's like, I am the power. But I'm like, words, well, God's blessed us with words as well. And I've always been taught that like every good thing comes from God, and that stories reflect elements of God's story, if they're a true story. And I don't mean true like it really happened. I mean true as in a good story. So I started learning more about words and how God uses them. And then I learned that gospel comes from an Anglo-Saxon term, God's spell. And the magic fantasy lover in me was like, gospel is magical. Gospel is God's spell. I am in. And then I learned that God's spell means, wait for it, good story. Obsessed, absolutely obsessed with this. So I also grew up being told all the time that I was actually a princess. My parents said it a little bit, but like my aunts, particularly my aunts, would always tell us, hey, did you know you're really actually a princess? Like, for real, you're a princess because you are a child of God and God is a king. And so it set this standard in my mind from a really young age of like viewing myself that way. Like, whenever I'm feeling bad, I'm like, I'm a child of God. I'm a princess. No one has power over me. I'm good. Child in my father's house. God is literally my dad. I'm okay. Took a while to learn though. Anyway, when this understanding finally sank in, it was just like so much magic was able to come into my life. I'm living the gospel, which is God's spell. I'm a princess. I want to live up to my potential. And through life, God showed me, hey, you being actually obsessed with all these things, books, movies, shows, the ballet, poetry, words, scriptures, you going down this path of studying fairy tales and uncovering all their symbolism. It's not just like a weird obsession. It's like, that's a gift. And God has blessed us with words. It's not just to tell like analogy type stories of him. It's that if you try your best to write something good, something true and beautiful, it's going to do that no matter what. And that beauty in and of itself, it will change the world. And I just love fairy tales for this reason, because Wilhelm Grimm says that we tell fairy tales to awaken the thoughts and the feelings of the heart. They are the beautiful stories that have withstood the test of time, along with classics and just all the beautiful things that have made our world inspired and kept us going. I've truly been obsessed with fairy tales for so long. I have a podcast where I talk about them. I deep dive into all the symbolism and like the things that I think are really fun and cool about them. But it's been really, really fun trying to write my own. There's this quote from Madeline L'Engle, who I love. She wrote A Wrinkle in Time. And it says, the power of love that called forth the universe, it's God, calls on us to create too. Not out of nothing. Only God can do that. But with what the Creator has given us. All art, good, bad, indifferent, reflects its culture. Great art transcends its culture and touches on that which is eternal. For me, that's fairy tale. Great art, beautiful art. I just hope and pray I can, do my best to write good stories and to convince all you princesses out there that you are loved and that your dreams will come true. And that the dreams you have are important. They're important to me, they're important to God, that we can gain so much inspiration from these stories that tell us who we are, who God is, and give us power over the forces that try to keep us down.